Welcome to Her Remarkable History. Remember, to support our channel, please subscribe. The horrific death of Queen Carolin. In history, there are plenty of different stories describing events of the past, some amusing, some horrific, and some downright upsetting. But there are also stories full of intrigue that just captivates the audience. One such story is that of Queen Carolin and her horrific death. In layman's terms, Carolin's gut burst and killed her in 1737. Now, Carolin was the consort of King George II, the monarch who reigned from 1727 until 1760, although Carolin didn't even see half the time her husband was on the throne. Carolin was thought to have been incredibly intelligent and had a strong character that attracted many different scholars to the court in Britain. Her character meant that she was highly trusted by her husband, and in turn he appointed her regent whenever he needed to leave the country. Carolin was known to like her food, something that is confirmed by her ever-expanding waistline, and due to this she developed gout in her feet, and as a consequence her movement was limited due to the discomfort. But the misfortune with Queen Carolin's health didn't stop there. After the birth of her daughter, Princess Louise, the future Queen of Denmark and Norway, Carolin suffered from something called an umbilical hernia, and it's thought that this is primarily down to the fact that she had 10 pregnancies and 8 births. These potentially weakened her stomach and in turn caused the hernia. Now, Carolin started to feel very upset and embarrassed about her appearance, especially her hernia, and she would then never fully undress in front of her ladies, and she also hated to have anything tight or fitted around her waistline and middle. From the beginning, her hernia caused her with increasing pain and discomfort, but it was on the 9th of November 1737 that Carolin began to feel an intense pain in her abdomen. On this evening, Carolin was attending a reception, but she struggled to complete her royal duties and instead retired to bed feeling really quite unwell. Now, being the Queen, Carolin had all the country's best doctors at her service. They tried every remedy they could think of to cure her illness. They bled her and purged her and even attempted to operate on her without any anaesthetic or drugs. Sadly, even though Carolin did a lot to try and advance and influence public health, her efforts did nothing to save her from dying at the hands of her own doctor. Carolin was opened up daily for a number of days to try and repair her bowel. They found that her bowel was decaying in parts and was actually poking through the muscle wall of her stomach. The doctors ignored the recently new guidelines to cure ruptures with pushing her bowel back through and sewing her up, and instead continued by cutting off part of her bowel. With no surprise, Carolin did not get better. But what was a surprise is that even with the lack of any medicine or opium, she did remain in high spirits and even joked with her doctor, Dr. Ranby. She said things like, "Before you begin, let me have a full view of your comical face." And as he was currently going through a divorce, she also said, "What would you give now that you was cutting your wife?" Now, if Carolin's bowel had not been cut and her digestive system had not been destroyed as a consequence, she may have actually recovered, but as a result the Queen could not keep anything down and her condition worsened. It took a further 2 weeks after the initial complaint for the Queen's strangulated bowel to burst, and this left her in agony, and after 3 days it killed her. On the 20th of November at St James's Palace, London, Carolin passed away. She had said goodbye to her children and was hand in hand with her husband. It was within Westminster Abbey that Carolin was buried, and her funeral took place on the 17th of December the same year. The Queen's husband, King George II, had asked Handel to compose a piece for the occasion, and as such the Ways of Zoyne du Morn was created for her funeral. An interesting point is that it's believed that Queen Carolin's funeral was the first royal funeral where special seats were built inside of the church for nobility to see the procession. Beautifully, King George arranged for both he and his wife to have matching coffins with removable sides. This was so that when he died, they could then both lie together again. Thank you for watching, and to support, please subscribe to Her Remarkable History. Thank you.